Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here, joined by Thomas as always. And it is time for Oscar predictions. We are coming back. It is June. It is post Cannes. And quite a bit of things have changed. Not too much, but we've gotten some things. Lots of stuff with Cannes. Lots of big things with Cannes.
Yeah, Cannes definitely sort of, helped us find maybe some of the slightly smaller things that could appear in the race towards the end.
Yeah.
We got a bit of studio news. Some films were pushed by since we last did this. I don't think many, but it just sort of changes.
Blitz is the big one.
The sort
Blitz
of
is the big
field.
one. I mean,
yeah, it just sort of, changes the field, changes potentially some of the things.
we have a lot more information now. We have a lot
Exactly. That's just the thing, really. A lot more information. Yeah. And then as we get further down the line, start to pick up. But yeah, so again, these are early predictions. Don't forget
these
that.
are still very, very early. Like anything
done,
before fall festivals is early. Like
these are still very early.
But let's get into it. All right, so we still have Past Lives in our number one position. It came out. It got like the fourth biggest per theater average opening of the decade so far. So like it could make its money back, genuinely. Like I don't think this film cost any more than like $5-10 million to make. And like as it starts to expand and go wide, I think it can make its money.
Yeah, I mean, we just got it basically number one for the same reason we had it number one last time. I mean, it's A24. They won last year. Who's to say they can't do it again? It's one of the few films. Like, we do have a couple more in our 10 for picture now that has been released and have got reviews. But still, it's one of the only things in the lineup that does have reviews. And beyond that, rave reviews, some of the best reviews for decades. So yeah, like there's a lot of reasons why you'd still keep this, at least.
Absolutely. And like the big reason is it can win screenplay. And if you can win screenplay, you can win picture. That is always the big argument. Like if you can win either the screenplay categories or director, you can win picture. That's just how it works.
And you have to win one of them as well. It's the other thing, realistically.
Right. And like Past Lives can win screenplay. It just can. Like like with the just raves it's been getting about this writing, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I've also seen it since the last time that we did the reviews. I mean, it's stunning, it's incredible, just as good as everyone said. Like it's it'll make you cry, it will make you laugh. Like it's giving Coda, but just even better reviews. And you got A24 behind it. People will want to vote for it. I don't know. I see the path. I really do see the path as long as A24 keeps it in people's conscious. Like, I think it makes sense. We have Killers of the Flower Moon, still really high. We had it maybe a bit lower, but like, I mean, we have reviews. The reviews are incredible. It's gonna be a big push. It's Scorsese. Like, as long as the reviews were like great, then like, yeah, we'll keep it high.
Yeah, exactly. Cannes was like, it was never really a worry that this would be negatively reviewed. I don't think, just potentially maybe worse reviewed than we were expecting. But this seems to be one of Scorsese's best directorial efforts.
Yeah, it's one of the highest Metacritic scores.
Yeah, in like the past decade. So this is definitely, it could be a big contender. I don't feel win just because it seems like that early contender that might end up just going home goose egg and not winning anything. That just sort of feels like this sort of film. I mean, it's 3 hours and however long. So yeah, but like it's still probably going to be a big contender in the end. By October, November time, who knows? It could be considered the sort of best picture frontrunner. So it definitely.
Absolutely. And then we got the Zone of Interest. Now, before you complain, listen, have you seen the Metacritic? And I know Metacritic is not everything, but
when it's that high, when it's 90
that high, like come on, it's a 98, 99. Like when it's that high, and like this feels like the Cannes thing. I mean, we've been comparing it to things like, it could be like Tree of Life, Drive My Car. Like it's that type of thing. It's not gonna be something that wins picture. It might not even like win any categories. It's not gonna get a lot of nominations, like 2-3 at maximum. But like you don't get that many people loving your movie and not get passion enough to get it in. Like this is going to get number one votes. This is like, Tar. It's the art house crowd. It's the pretentious crowd, the people who like artsy, philosophical film, right? They're going to throw this number one. The European voter is going to throw this number one. Like Triangle of Sadness is another good comp. Like listen, do we think it's number 3 to win? No, we do not.
No, but that's equally not how we do this list. Like we take a merge of what we think's very likely to get nominated and what we think's likely to get Best Picture, and so just merge them.
Things that have reviews higher.
Like, yeah, exactly. This has reviews, and as we said,
in that it has passion.
Reviews. Yeah. So like this is just it feels like the sort of thing that might get other nominations. Like potentially this could be the Cannes director, etc., which we'll get to. But yeah, it just feels like this could be bigger than just sort of that random thing that premiered at Cannes to excellent reviews. This could be an Oscar contender.
And like the other thing is like we've been seeing a trend over the past couple of years of like we're getting more and more passion picks. Like you get into picture off of passion. And
Yeah.
this feels like that type of thing. Like we're seeing less and less name checks, more and more. Like if enough people love this movie and are willing to put it number one on their ballot,
Yeah.
it can happen. And
And
it,
based on like the amounts of 100, so amounts of 10 out of 10 has been
yes,
getting, it does seem like, if you're giving a film 100 out of 100, like it's going to be at
right.
least number one on your end of your list. That just makes there's nothing going to beat it. So
At least very high.
at
Like,
least very high. I mean, we don't know how many 100 sort of tier films we'll be getting this year,
right.
but
Yeah.
this should I think be in your best picture
And
nomination.
I'm not worried
Really,
about
because
A24 having two. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
no, I
I'm
mean
just
they
not.
nearly got it in last year when one of those films was The Whale. So
Right, which got considerably worse reviews than Zone of Interest and Past
yeah,
Lives, which like they're the two highest reviewed films of the year so far. Like if
yeah,
A24 plays their cards right, I think they'll be fine. I genuinely do. We have The Color Purple. Not much to say here. Like Warner Brothers, we got the trailer, big musical. Like it just feels like something that will happen. It's going to play really well with like SAG and the Globes and everything with that. Barbie, we still have a high. Okay, until given a reason to say no. I don't know why. Like the box office, it's tracking really, really high. This is broken into
yeah.
the mainstream. You can go out to people on the street. They know what this movie is. People are excited about the movie. It's going to have a big opening weekend. Now, if it's good, it's going to get so much positive word of mouth that's going to carry passion. If it's bad, then like, sure, I'm willing to take it off. That's fine. But if it's good,
Yeah, I feel like this is maybe the biggest sort of sink or swim
yeah,
film in this. That's like, because if this goes wrong, if this is negatively reviewed, the word of mouth isn't strong, like no one's really going to be seeing it post first weekend. You'll get a lot of people on first weekend, but if it's bad, it's going to drop off and it's going to drop
yeah,
off badly. Warner Bros. Will already be thinking, we've already got The Color Purple, we've already got June, we don't need to worry about this one.
yeah.
So that's the only thing like Warner Brothers. But you did bring up that Lionsgate got free in 2016, and that is Lionsgate.
Yeah,
So
that's
they are not Warner
Lionsgate
Brothers.
with La La Land, Hell or High Water, and Hacksaw Ridge in a year of 9. And let me just
Yeah,
reiterate, Lionsgate. Okay,
Lionsgate,
this
who
is
have not
Warner
got
Brothers.
anything in since.
This
Well,
is
they
Warner
probably had,
Brothers,
but
who are some of like
don't
statistically
fact
the
check.
best picture campaigners of the century so far. They are fantastic at best picture campaigns. So like,
Yeah,
if Lionsgate could do it in a year of 9, why can't Warner Brothers do it in a year of 10? Like again, and I don't see any reason to assume why Barbie would be bad. Like take out the
no, the
title.
talent behind it. Yeah,
Take out the title. Take out that it is a
yeah.
Barbie film,
I can
right?
see it being divisive based on the trailer.
Sure.
I can see it, like the tone. It is a very distinct tone. It's a tone that I'm looking at, even going, "Oh, is that going to be entirely
Yeah.
for me?" So, but I don't see it being like flat out bad. I think there will
Right.
still be
I mean,
something
again,
there for
take out the
everyone.
title. Look at Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. Look at a film led by Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Look at the tech team behind this. Like it's insane. And also, the Oscars do love satire. They love satire.
They do.
Or camp, I like the bit maybe more split, but they love satire. And this seems to be very, very heavily leaning towards satire. I mean, you look at something like Triangle of Sadness, look at Don't Look Up. Like they love these types of like corporate, maybe potentially political leaning satires. And everything I've heard about this is that this is kind of a political, satire. And
Yeah,
I just, again, just remove the title.
yeah.
It's hard to make an
And
argument.
I guess it also, like, we'll get to this for another film later down the line in our lineup, but it would appeal to the sort of younger generation. Like, I don't
Yeah,
imagine the older Oscar voters will really be loving Barbie or going for
yeah,
Barbie. We're not that, naive.
yeah.
But, like, if enough of the younger sort of generation can pick it up and run with it, why not?
At least for the nom. At least for the nom.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay, we have Saltburn here. Again, kind of nothing really to build on this. Like, it's an Emerald Fennell period piece. Barry Keoghan. I mean, cast seems strong. Director. I mean, Promising Young Woman. Very well received. Good film. Like, why not?
No.
Why not?
Yeah.
Then we have Dune.
I
Again,
mean, yeah.
it just
What more can
kind
you
of
say about
makes
June,
sense
really?
that this would just happen with the amount of text it's getting. And again, I'm not concerned about WB getting 3 in. I'm just not.
No. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not concerned. I do think that it could be a problem, but
It
at this
could, but like,
stage, like, we don't know. Let's wait until July 21st. Let's wait until July 21st will be a big day in terms of
yeah,
changing brand. RS good. Like Oppenheimer and Barbie, that's gonna be an interesting race.
for sure. And then we have Maestro. I'm not loving this
Netflix.
because, I mean, again, not hearing amazing things, but I mean, it's Bradley Cooper. Look at the producers behind it, Scorsese, Spielberg, and Todd Phillips for some reason, but like Scorsese, Spielberg, and like I mean, it's a biopic. He's gonna be caked in makeup. Carey Mulligan's also there. Like, and as long as this is Netflix's #1 push, like probably, like it just
Yeah, I mean that's my thinking as well. Like it is a biopic. It is a sort of thing that, would have been almost for sure nominated a couple of years ago. With, the recent sets of nominees, potentially this sort of thing drops, but Netflix equally need one thing. And I think at this stage it's just safest to go with what they clearly feel is their strongest contender.
yeah. But this
Because
could
like
just be
whatever
another
Netflix pushes
Bardo,
#1
and it
will get
isn't
it.
impossible that this is Bardo all over again.
That is true. That is true. 100%.
So we'll see. All right, Spider-Verse. Listen. If any animated film is going to do it since Toy Story 3, it's going to be this. Box office, fantastic. Critical reception, fantastic. Audience reception, fantastic. And if you're looking at early season releases over the past couple of years, okay, you're looking at things like Everything Everywhere. You're looking at things like Mad Max Fury Road, Get Out, Black Panther, Grand Budapest Hotel. I mean, all of those types of things. I mean, like they felt like they were like, a big cultural moment that also felt like it was important to nominate and kind of like a redefining type thing. And like animated films have gotten in before, superhero films have gotten in before, early season releases have gotten in before, like part ones have gotten in before. Look at Dune. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense if the passion is there. I could see it, especially since this is going to be Sony's #1 pick. Adapted screenplay is looking weak so far this year. We could see it slot into a nomination there. It's obviously, I think, at this point, winning an animated feature.
Yeah.
I think there's a really strong case to make for Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and I'd also say on the animation point, I guess, like look at last year when we had a film like GDT's Pinocchio, which some people were saying might get in, but that was just off the back of really good looking animation. This
Right.
is like medium defining animation, I would argue.
Right.
Like the stuff that it does, and that is if you're going to be an animated film and get in, you've got to be doing stuff like this at this stage. Like I feel like it wouldn't get in like Toy Story 3 and up, which just because those like the sort of delivered that emotion, whatever. I feel like this would be, if it's going to get in, it's going to be getting in because it feels like an important animated,
Exactly.
which it
So,
does. So
yeah, I mean, it is like I don't know. I feel weirdly good about this, like weirdly good to the
I mean,
point where
it's
I didn't
Sony's
even
top one
like
as well. Like that's worth
put it up.
mentioning, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could see it. Okay, number 10, we have Poor Things. At the time of recording, the new trailer just dropped. We don't feel good about this. Listen, I love Yorgos. I'm a massive Yorgos Lanthimos fan. Thomas, you are not. But like,
Nope.
I feel like we gotta have something Searchlight in here, and this just feels the most likely, even though it's like a September 8th date and it looks really weird. Like,
Yeah, like I don't know. The trailer did leave me very unconfident, but as you said, like the Searchlight gets something in every year, and what are we really going to be predicting next goal wins to get into picture? Like,
right,
I mean,
like
it looks more standard, but it also doesn't look good. So
right.
that's it. You're
I
weighing
think
it
it
up.
does
You're weighing
look
it up.
good, but maybe not to Academy voters. And your taste seems to be a bit more aligned with Academy voters.
That is true. So yeah, I guess yeah. If I'm going my gut, I feel like this is wrong at this stage, but equally
I do too, but I feel like we need something Searchlight.
Searchlight. Yeah, and that's
Like
all
there's
it is to it. Like, yeah, like I think a lot of people ignore studios when they're doing lots of predictions. You really shouldn't. Studios are incredibly
I mean,
important because they are
this
the
is how
things
we
that
called
push the
Elvis
films.
basically before anybody else last year. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, we called it really early, and it was purely based off of like, regardless of
Warner
thoughts or
Bros.
quality of the film, it's Warner Brothers, and they're gonna get something, and it's not gonna be Don't Worry, Darling.
No,
Like, and again, like, I don't feel like it's gonna be Next Will Wins. I just don't. Like, I
no,
don't feel like that's the thing. And if I don't
yeah.
think it's that, I don't think it's Strangers. Like,
I mean, something could emerge. Like we didn't really think Banshees would be
yeah,
Searchlight's thing up until it sort of premiered at Venice and got rave reviews. So something could emerge that we just don't really know of at this stage. But as it is early on, and we've got to just go for something like this. I think
for
at this
sure,
stage.
for sure. All right, just sitting outside, we have Oppenheimer. Like we've talked about this before, we just don't feel great. Like it's 3 hours long, it's rated R. I don't know how much audiences like how much our audience is really thirsting for a 3 hour long historical drama that's rated R. Like,
Yeah, especially in the middle of summer, sandwiched in between Mission Impossible and Barbie, like, it's not exactly thirst on people's watch list, I don't think.
right. I don't know how much this is going to resonate with general audiences. And by extension, how much is still actually going to be in the conversation beyond just like text
Yeah, like
when it gets sent across.
Nolan seems to struggle to get above the line support, which
Yeah.
is a real issue, especially since, if you're a big tech thing, you need to be getting tech wins. We said this before, and June is a blockade. June is
Yep.
serving to block this film. Like, I think we should definitely have it 11th. This is definitely the thing that everyone has in picture that was sort of just
That we
leaving
don't.
out.
Yeah.
But like, I genuinely don't think this has a great shot in picture. Like Nolan is not an Academy favorite necessarily. Like
No.
yes, The Dark Knight was basically in, like it obviously wasn't, but it was basically. And then Inception happened, and then Dunkirk, which I guess Dunkirk is comparable to this, but Dunkirk was also 1 hour 40. This is 3 hours and R rated,
And
and
I
et cetera, et
genuinely
cetera.
do think that the Academy is different. Like, I
Yeah,
don't, eh, I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like this is the type of thing that the Academy goes for unless it gets like, like best of Nolan's career reviews. And
and
like,
unless like it can either get like I guess potentially Screenplay or Cillian Murphy, I think we need to be looking at least one of those two things
yeah,
happening.
unless this is like a Nightmare Alley situation, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't. I guess it could. Yeah,
It
I don't
could,
know.
but
Leave
like,
it out for now. We'll see on July 21st. I think
right,
is
right.
very
It feels to
fast.
me like Nightmare Alley was the last of a dying breed, if I'm being honest,
Yeah,
of just like
I can buy that.
sort of like not without a bunch of passion, but like big name directors.
Yeah,
I don't know how many more of those we're going to get, at least in this current phase of the Academy. Okay, we have May December here. I mean, listen, it's maybe Netflix's number 2. It's Todd Haynes. It did get good reviews. It just wasn't entirely what people were expecting. It was getting like camp, like people are saying it's like campy, but like I could see it getting like a screenplay acting package and just sneaking its way in, especially if Maestro doesn't turn out to be what we think it is, and Netflix kind of turns to this as their second option since it did get good reviews.
yeah. I mean, this one's really down to Netflix because I think the reviews are good enough for a Best Picture nominee. I think the
Yeah,
like the cast would be strong enough to get noms. The screenplay would be strong enough to get etc. etc. But
yeah.
it's just whether Netflix wants to actually push it because if it doesn't, if it does just sort of get dropped, I could see most of those things falling, if not all of them. We do have it in some places, but I could even see those things falling potentially if Netflix just really decides, we've got other stuff to prioritize. So this one's really down to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Then we have Anatomy of a Fall. This is probably Neon's top push, the Palme d'Or winner. I mean, Sandra Hüller, I think, could be very strong. I think the screenplay could be very strong. It's just a matter of if this will have the passion to get into Best Picture, and if Neon can push hard enough. I could be very easily convinced. Like, I feel really good about the top 13 after this. I feel like it's kind of like a bit of a mess, but like any of these top 13, I could be convinced of getting into the line.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Palme d'Or winner,
Yeah,
Neon. It's a good combo. It's a good combo. I'll say that. So
yeah,
yeah, there is a potential for it. I just as you said, I don't know if it can get enough support. I mean, this is just sort of thing where it needs exposure towards the end of the year.
yeah.
It needs exposure in the right places at the right times, and just will it get it? We don't know. So
And
I
Neon's a
think
little bit hit
it's
or miss with their campaigns. Like, obviously, they did great with
yeah,
Parasite. They managed to get Triangle in, but they also, like, I mean, it's completely screwed up with things like Spencer and, in 2021. Like, so even 2020 as well, they kind of struggled. So, like, Neon's hit or miss. Neon's hit or miss.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. The bike riders, we've talked about this one. I just need more information and I need, like, people to see it and it to get released at a festival or something.
Yeah, like
Um,
it sounds like the sort of thing that could happen, but we
yeah,
just don't know.
who knows? The holdovers, kind of similarly, we'll see how the controversy potentially, if it comes up at all, with Alexander Payne, how this gets received at a festival. I just need more information. Rustin feels just like kind of a standard type of biopic thing that might get actor and nothing else, or I really don't see this being picture strong.
No, this sort of feels like the Netflix number 2 thing. If potentially they do ignore May, December, they've got
Yeah,
Maestro in, and they just sort of think, yeah, let's just give this a push. I mean, it's probably an actor. We can maybe get it screenplay, and maybe get it into picture. It just
right,
feels like a Netflix afterthought potentially,
right.
which
It feels like
can
a
happen sometimes.
an
So
alternative option, like a plan C. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So then there's Air. Some people are confident about Air. We're just really not.
I
Like,
don't think it's
I
memorable enough.
show me
Like,
where the passion is. Show me who is like Air is my favorite movie of the year. I haven't seen anybody say that Air is their favorite movie of the year, like up to this date. Like, I
yeah,
just
and do you know why you haven't heard anyone say that? Because you've not heard anyone say anything about Air since Air was released. So
exactly
nothing has. This film has gone nowhere.
like.
I mean,
How are you going to
potentially it's
convince me
Amazon's top priority at
like,
the end.
is
I
Amazon
don't
going to
think
be able to
so.
resurrect this? Like, maybe, but like, are we really going to throw our eggs all in that basket that it gets like screenplay and like Viola and like maybe another acting
Yeah,
nominate? Like, I don't
I
know.
genuinely think the Academy have moved past nominating films like this. So I didn't
Yeah,
hate it. I know you really didn't like it,
I
but
really didn't like it, but
I don't think it's worthy of Best Picture. I just flat out don't think it will actually get it. So
right. Like, to me, this feels like a random thing. Like, I feel like Viola Davis could be this year's like Eddie Redmayne, Jared Leto, Bill Murray type thing, where it's just like, oh wait, she got
potentially,
Globe. Oh my God, she got SAG. Oh wait, no, never mind that.
no,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
no, I
it's
can
that.
see that. I can see that.
But not for picture, not for picture. Next goal wins, another sports thing. As we mentioned when talking about Searchlight, I just like you guys saw that trailer, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
really,
It's just it looks like a worse version of Ted Lasso, and
which is already pretty bad.
to anyone who knows our thoughts on Ted Lasso, is not good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Like Taika did really well with Jojo Rabbit. Potentially does well again. Like he seems like the sort of director who
I mean,
does align with the Academy style. Potentially it's feel good enough. Potentially does well. This one is going to festivals, is it?
I kind of feel Taika gives me one hit wonder vibes, and I feel like this is going to go to
Yeah.
TIFF since it did get pushed back to November. So like maybe Searchlight trying something with this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the test. Will Taika be a one-hit wonder, or will Yorgos be a one-hit wonder?
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean Yorgos already has more though. He got an
I mean,
international
he did
feature
get in
nomination
for
for Dogtooth. He got
yeah,
a screenplay nom for Lobster. Like,
yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
so I don't know. Okay, challengers, influence strong, two MGM things. Again, just need more information. Challengers, it's a new Luca Guadagnino. Will he be able to replicate his thing from Call Me by Your Name? I mean, he's got Zendaya, he's got Mike Feist. I don't know. We've got maybe rom-com vibes. Who knows? Flint Strong, sports biopic drama. I mean, can this turn into something like King Richard, where it's just like a big thing at TIFF, and it's like, oh wait, maybe we should have had this as a sports biopic this whole time. Oh, maybe, and then like everybody loves it at TIFF, and then it gets pushed by the end of the season. Like maybe. I need more. I need more.
Yeah,
Bob Marley, One Love. I
yeah.
mean,
You know, with a title like that, like it's when you put the artist name and then the song after. Like we did
it's
it. We saw it
giving.
with this last
I
time.
want to dance with somebody Whitney Houston movie or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. This just feels like lead actor, nothing else. Like it's Paramount as well. Like Paramount, I don't think are great Oscar campaigners.
no,
Sure, Top Gun campaign itself.
they
They've
did
really
they
screwed
did
up
not
Babylon.
campaign with Top Gun. Look what they did to Babylon.
Yeah,
That really
exactly.
shows how they
Exactly.
campaign.
Yeah, I don't think they're great campaigners, so I feel like this one will just get. Does this one have a bad? I feel like this is like one of those late December releases as well. They're
Yeah, it's
never end
like
well.
last week of December, limited
Yeah,
in January. Literally, what they did with Babylon, it didn't work.
yeah.
Like they're putting it in the Babylon slot. I mean, it's Ronaldo Marcus Green. Speaking of King Richard, like,
That's why we basically got it on, just in
and
case
it's a
there is
music
something like.
biopic, and it's like Kingsley Ben-Adir, and like, I
Yeah,
mean, Lashana Lynch as well. But I don't know. I don't entirely see it. Last couple things, Asteroid City. I don't really think it'll happen, but like maybe. Strangers. I mean, it's Searchlight, so maybe it has a
this
shot
is
to be their
sort
push,
of
but.
like just in
Mm.
case this is Searchlight's thing that emerges, which
Yeah.
it potentially could be. Who knows?
We got The Killer from Netflix, new Fincher film. I mean, they don't go for his thrillers. They just don't. Look at what movies of his they've gone for. Look at what they haven't. They don't like Fincher's thrillers, and this feels like Netflix's fourth priority at best.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the reviews it gets, I could see this being like I can see this being Netflix's plan A a lot more than I can see Rustin. Like I don't think Rustin will ever
Yeah,
be Netflix's plan A. I feel like that will always follow another film getting in. So there is that, I guess, caveat to it, but equally
but
I agree. I don't
but
think it will get much support really. I think it could be very good, like I'm a big Fincher fan, but
yeah,
I don't see this being
well,
Oscars.
we'll see. Then we have the Iron Claw rounding out our top 25. I mean, it's new Sean Durkin. It's a kind of psychological biopic type thing. I mean, A24 has a pretty clear top two right now, and I don't really see them pushing. Like, I don't think A24 can get three in. Like, I think Warner
No.
Brothers can. I don't think A24 can manage three.
Yeah, I feel like Warner Brothers and Netflix are the only
But
studios that
like
could, and
Netflix has
Netflix
even
has even
failed.
struggled. Yeah, Netflix has struggled. So
No, it's just Lionsgate and Warner Brothers. Yeah.
just
Uh,
Lionsgate.
all right, let's talk about director. Yeah, so we have Blitz Bazawule still winning for The Color Purple, and like you might say, what about Scorsese? Well, we have Scorsese number two for obvious reasons. We don't even need to talk about that. But Blitz Bazawule number one. I mean, honestly, like it fits. It really does fit. It's
Yeah.
flashy. He's a new name. I mean, he's gonna be doing something interesting. It's gonna be a big film. It's a musical. Like, I know we talked about this last time. It just kind of makes sense, especially if you think Color Purple is going to be big.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only negative you can really bring up is DGA. Like, I don't necessarily think he really feels like a DGA winner, which is a problem.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Like, I don't think it's Scorsese either. I really just don't think
yeah,
he's a winner. I think he is a surefire bet to be nominated. I think
yes.
he is going to be a contender to win. Like, he could win a Golden
I
Globe.
could see Scorsese winning.
He could win the DGA, exactly. But I don't know if the film will like have that much passion behind it that people will be like, yes, give Scorsese another Oscar. I just don't
Right.
quite see that.
And I could see like Blitz Bazawule was a fun thing to vote for.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then we have Jonathan Glazer. And again, he feels like the Ken director. We talked about, well, maybe could he have a Bong Joon-ho moment? Maybe. I don't entirely think that, but I do feel good
There's a
about the
chance.
nomination.
Yeah, like this is the director we've gone for from Cannes. This just feels like, yeah, the Cannes director that we get
Right.
every year now at this point, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. Celine Song for Past Lives, another person who I could see winning. Like,
I mean, if it's winning picture, yeah, why
if it
not?
gets the
Potentially.
push, I could see it happening. Granted, I do think this is more of a Coda vibe. But again, like Celine Song is another one who fits the vibe of the most recent winner.
Oh, agreed.
So we'll see. We'll see. Then we have Yorgos. Again, don't really love that we have Yorgos here because I don't know, but like if Poor Things is in picture and if they like it that much, it kind of would make sense for Yorgos to come along.
Yeah, I mean, another thing about the way we do predictions, we like to make them consistent. Like, we look at
Yeah.
each category as a whole sort of part of this big machine. Like, we don't look at every individual category as an individual category, what's most likely in this individual.
Right.
We look at it all together. And if we're doing Poor Things in picture, Yorgos is 100% coming. I think if Poor Things is in picture, I mean, look at that trailer. Yorgos will be coming
Yeah.
along with it. So, yeah, like this is, again, just a case of if it's in, if it's not, we'll see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then we have Greta just outside at number 6. I mean, again, looking at the trailer, like obviously there's a massive vision here, but like if there's a lot of stuff just like out on the street, I could see people being like, okay, maybe it isn't like, that big. Maybe there isn't as many things to like point to as like, you know, because the Academy seems to think of directing as like big and flashy.
Yeah.
And if it's just like the first 20 minutes are like Barbie Land, and then we go outside, like I don't know. And again, with this is a big question mark of a film. We can't deny that. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to have her missing for now. And then we have Denis right there, missed for the first film. I mean, we'll see.
I mean,
But like I
yeah,
don't see any
there's
reason for
potential if June hits bigger than the first one did,
Yeah.
then potentially they'll be like, "Oh, we're sorry, we'll give you a nom this time." Like because he was undoubtedly sick. It was a big surprise when he didn't get a nom. Like
Yeah.
most people were predicting him to get the nomination there, so it was a snub. Potentially they sort of put this one in as to repent for what they did last time. But I just don't know if June will be as big as the first one. I think it will be slightly smaller. I don't think that will stop it getting tech wins and big things like getting picture, but I just think it won't necessarily like reach the same sort of heights as the first. So I don't think Villeneuve comes on.
I agree. And then we have Nolan for Oppenheimer. Once again, we have to acknowledge that this can be a thing. They could go for Oppenheimer, but for all the reasons we laid out, I don't really think it. I don't really. Yeah. All right. Emerald Fennel for Saltburn. Like, it doesn't. I need more information about the film. Like, I feel good having it in picture, but like, I don't really know. And we also know the Academy can only fit. Like Logan Roy can only fit one woman in their mind at a time. So like, if they're already doing Celine Song, do I trust the Academy to nominate 2 women? No, I do not.
No.
Like,
so yeah, and it's also the sort of film that, based on what we've heard, doesn't necessarily feel like it's going to be a big directing thing. It feels like screenplay, acting, and that's its sort of part.
For sure. So then, speaking of women, we have Justine Triet, director of Anatomy of a Fall. Again, Palme d'Or winning director. It feels like Glazer would be the can pick. I think that she's clearly number 2, but like there's also Scorsese, technically a can pick.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know how much sense that Triet really makes to be the can pick, especially with everything that I've heard about the film makes it seem like it's way more screenplay and performance heavy.
Yeah, like this only makes sense if, as you say, it is Anatomy of a Fall rather than Zone of Interest. That is the can thing. And like I could see potentially them both.
I could see the
I
argument.
think it's unlikely, but even if it is both, I still don't necessarily think she'd get the nod. So
for sure. Absolutely. So then there's Bradley Cooper, Maestro. I mean, it was a big deal when he was snubbed for Stars Born. Again, this could potentially be like a sorry makeup thing. But when we're already so unconfident in it happening for picture, I don't know. I don't know.
And also, I feel like there is, to an extent, him being nominated and potentially, we'll get to it, winning for actor.
Yeah.
I feel like they may just think, well, we don't really need to do it in director. So
yeah. For sure. Todd Haynes, May December. I mean, again, I don't really know how big this can be. We can just kind of run through Mike Nichols for Bike Riders, Alexander Payne Holdovers, David Fincher for The Killer. I don't really love either of those 4 as like options. They're just honestly placeholders for now. Just really, if their movies end up being really big, then they could end up in here. But like,
I mean, even that, they don't like these sorts of films don't really feel like the sort of thing that get it. I mean, I feel like The Killer, if The Killer was to be a big thing, David Fincher would need to come along with it. Like, there's no way that's screenplay, that's riding off that. Like, I feel like that's not going to happen. But either way, I don't think it'll be massive. So I don't think it gets in.
For sure. All right, actor, you alluded to it. We have Bradley Cooper number one for Maestro, and I think even if the film isn't big, he can still happen. Uh, like The Whale,
Brilliant.
like Jessica Chastain for Tammy Faye. What do those things have in common? Makeup, and like if you're winning makeup and you have so many prosthetics. We saw this with The Whale. We saw this with Tammy Faye. We've seen this plenty of times before. Look at Judy. I mean, I guess I don't makeup, but like you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that wins. And there's really no other big makeup caked performances in acting.
No, and also the thing with director goes this way as well. Like potentially because he's director, they might feel him even more worthy of a win here.
For sure, for sure. So I like that. We have DiCaprio number two. I mean, people are saying career best work potentially. Like,
Yeah, like I could see him winning.
he at least
Weirdly, like
feels like a lock
yeah,
for a nom.
I think he feels like a lock for a nom. I mean, Lily Gladstone could happen. We'll obviously get to that later, but potentially Leonardo DiCaprio is the most likely winner in Killers. So
Maybe.
yeah, it's a tricky one, but potentially.
So then we have Coleman Domingo, Rustin. I mean, love for him to get his first acting nom. It makes a lot of sense. He's had a lot of career momentum. He's doing a biopic. Like it feels like this is an actor or bust type thing. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Then we have Barry Keoghan for Saltburn. I mean, listen, Barry Keoghan's on the upswing right now. Everybody loves him. If Saltburn ends up being big, I don't really see why he wouldn't come along for the ride.
No, like especially since like we saw with Carey Mulligan, Emerald Fennell clearly say that again. Clearly knows how to direct an acting performance. So, like, yes, there is no reason this wouldn't.
Absolutely. And then we're sticking with it because we're gonna be stubborn. David Strathairn in A Little Prayer. You know what this movie is? No, you don't. But it's a
Did you know what
Sundance
Living
thing.
was this time last year? No.
I did. I saw it. But
Oh, cool. I was speaking to the audience. So.
it was Sony Pictures Classics. It's David Strathairn. I mean, he's a previous nominee. He was just in a Best Picture winner with Nomadland. Yeah, I mean, he got glowing reviews out of Sundance. If Sony Pictures Classics can do their thing again and just resurrect them, maybe. Now, they also do have Anthony Hopkins in Fred's Last Session. We also have him on the list. He could also potentially be the thing. But
Yeah.
regardless, like, you have to always watch out for Sony Pictures Classics. They're so good at campaigning to actors.
Yeah, and
Like,
also like Naive felt like a sort of career thing that they managed to get him in for. Potentially, like
yeah,
has Strahan got a nomination? I feel like he has.
Strathairn?
But yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, but still, it's more of a career nomination than Anthony Hopkins who won a couple of years ago. So
Right, exactly. So I don't know. We're gonna be stubborn on this one. Number 6 is where we have Kingsley Benadir for Bob Marley, One Love.
I mean, all the reasons, like it's a biopic, he's playing a famous person. Apparently, like whatever. But I just don't think the film will be big enough, and I feel like this is a sort of thing that not all biopic performances have to happen.
It's giving Naomi Aki.
Exactly. It just feels like the sort of thing that people maybe try and predict, but I just don't know if the film will end up having the passion, having the exposure necessary for it to actually come to anything.
I
Like
mean,
he's
this time last year I had Naomi Aki number 1. I'm not
yeah,
making that mistake again.
no, like he definitely could happen. This is
Yeah.
he's a very strong number 6.
I
I
mean, again,
just
if we took Strathairn out, which probably nobody
yeah
else is doing, like, yeah, sure, but I don't know. 7 is where we have Cillian Murphy. I'd put him even lower if I'm being completely honest. But like,
yeah
Nolan doesn't get acting noms. I don't know what to tell you. His one was Heath
yeah
Ledger, and like,
yeah
I mean, that had a crazy narrative around it, and it's also considered one of the best performances of all time. Like, I don't know if Cillian Murphy and like it just why.
I mean, I guess why is because he's going to have 3 hours of screen time, which is a good thing. The film, this is the first time we get a titular character for a known film. Like this does feel like a star vehicle for Cillian Murphy to an extent. Like he is a big name actor who's never got a nomination before, so like he is quite famous. So there is potential there. I can definitely see why people would be nominating. I had to push for him to get 7th. I don't think he'll get in, just because I don't think the support for Oppenheimer will be strong enough.
Yeah.
And I look at who we've got in Best Actor, I think, well, I don't really want to take any of those out for Cillian Murphy. So yeah, but he is a strong number 7. Like I feel like you can't deny that there is a big chance he does.
He should be in the 10.
He should be number 7.
Fine, sure. Number 8 where we have Uteo for Past Lives. I mean, maybe he could come along if the movie's like big, but it's probably the most understated performance. So I don't know how much they would really want to go for it. Especially with all of the other options that are presenting themselves in the category.
Yeah.
Then we got Paul Giamatti with The Holdovers. Again, I need to hear more about this film. I just
Yeah,
I
I
need
feel like
more.
the holdovers and the bike riders, we're just going to be saying very similar things for
Right.
every category that you see them in. Like, it's just potentially if
Yeah.
they're good, but we
I
just
mean, the
don't know.
same thing like where we have Tom Hardy on the list. Like, we'll
Yeah.
see. I just need we know so little about those movies. And then we have Matt Damon for Air, which is kind of just
I
fine,
mean, yeah,
just because everybody else is doing it.
if they're as big, potentially, like I feel like it goes in terms of likelihood of nomination, it goes Davis, then Damon. Like Damon would be
He
the
would be
one to
the
follow.
next one,
So,
but
like
like
potentially, I don't personally see it, but
I don't really believe this will happen.
no.
So yeah. Then as mentioned, Anthony Hopkins in Fred's last session. Then there's Paul Bettany in the collaboration. He's playing like Andy Warhol. It's
Yeah.
an Andrew McCartan script, so there's that.
Yeah, I again, this is like bike riding the holdovers. We just don't, I don't think this will be like a massive thing, but we just don't really know at this stage. So it's hard to put anything down. I mean, it will be a biopic role. They do like that. There is that. Paul
Yeah,
Bettany feels like he's due a nomination potentially, but I don't.
maybe. And then there's Sebastian Stan in A Different Man. This is just a makeup cake thing. It's an A24 performance. He's like has like a bunch of makeup on his face. And like I guess,
Yeah,
but
I mean, it'll be interesting. We could see like potentially it's hard for him to actually do much acting behind all that makeup. Like
right.
potentially he's not that recognizable. We don't see that sort of facial acting that the Oscars do seem to like so much. So there's
Yeah.
potential there that this just doesn't happen because of that. But equally, if it is moving, if it is this transformative performance,
Yeah, I mean, again, you could see an argument, but I really don't think it's that strong. And then lastly, we have Andrew Scott in Strangers. Again,
again,
just kind of a
it's
what if
strangers.
strangers? What if
Yeah.
strangers? Actress, we have Fantasia Barrino winning. It'd be amazing to see two women of color win in a row. It's a big musical performance. She won the Tony. If we do think that Color Purple is going to be a big hit, then yeah,
Yeah.
like Fantasia can absolutely be in the conversation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, if they were saying Blitz Bazwell for director and Francis Bruno for actress, would then go, "What Color Purple for picture?" Surely, which I can see why you might make that argument. Color Purple, off these two wins, it would be a very strong contender. I just don't know if we give him Past Life quite a lot as well, so don't worry. I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, and we have Past Lives number 2 with Greta Lee. I mean, she's fantastic. I don't think it's a winning performance, if I'm being completely honest. But if Past Lives is big, she's going to get the push.
Yeah.
Like she's going to get the push. So, I feel pretty good about this. Then we have Margot Robbie Barbie. Everybody keeps on saying won't happen, won't happen. It's like if the film is getting picture,
Yeah. Like she's going to come along with it, and this is the exact same for number 4 as well. Emma Stone. Like if the films are happening in picture, it is impossible in my mind that they won't get in as well. So like I
yeah.
could
I mean,
see
that's where we
neither
have
of
Emma
these
Stone
films
number 4.
being at
Like
all. Both of these actresses just not getting in there. They look like they're getting very big, very quirky performances. The
right.
Oscars don't always love that, but if the film's big, it does suggest a certain amount of recognition for the two leads. I respect.
I mean, yeah, like again, I don't understand the argument of like, oh, we don't think this is gonna, do we think this is gonna happen for picture, but then not the main characters come, like the main character. I mean, Barbie, the titular character coming
Yeah.
along, like especially when you're predicting it for like Gosling, like I don't, that just doesn't make sense for me. That just doesn't make sense.
No.
Number 5, we have Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Could be more of the criticky type pick. And like, I mean, we've heard nothing but just stunning things about her performance in Anatomy of a Fall. Could be some like some like Isabelle Huppert and Elle, where it's like that international performance that sneaks in just off of passion. And yeah, I could absolutely see it. I could
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, she could get in for Zone of Interest as well, but apparently her performance in this is a lot stronger and
Yeah,
so strong, in fact, that it could counteract any sort of hype that Zone of Interest as a film gets. This performance is good enough to get
and I
in,
think that
even despite that.
the hype around her performance in Zone of Interest could just funnel into this.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could go towards Anatomy of a Fall. I could see it going Zone of Interest way, but I don't know. Let's keep it as this for now.
For sure, for sure. Then we got Natalie Portman, May December, Just Outside. I mean, I could see sneaking in. I feel like if Portman gets in, then like maybe it can be picture. But
Yeah, I feel like if Portman, gets in, that is the real question. I don't know if May December feels like a one like acting type of thing. I mean, we do have
yeah,
it in an actor category later, but I feel like that is an easier category to get into. I feel like this actress lineup is fairly strong, and it maybe won't have the space for something a bit
Because
for like
I've
a
heard that
third
Portman is the
quirky film.
stronger performance, but actress is a much more stacked category.
Yeah, yeah,
And then because there's also Jessica Lange in Long Day's Journey into Night, and like I mean, this performance like it wins Tonys, it gets Oscar nominations. Like Jessica Lange could be due for another nomination, but like I keep on saying it. I need more information before I feel confident enough to put this in. This doesn't even have an American distributor yet. Like, am I
no, yeah,
really gonna put it in? Like, I don't know. Then we got Carey Mulligan, Maestro. We don't feel that good about Maestro. Don't know if we really need to put Carey Mulligan in, especially with the potential controversy surrounding her casting.
yeah,
Then there's Zendaya Challengers. Need more information about Challengers, but I could see
yeah.
pushing in Zendaya, being like,
I
let's
mean,
give
if
it
they
to
want,
Zendaya.
yeah, exactly. If they want to give Zendaya a lead nomination or even a nomination in general,
Yeah,
like this is where you'd probably do it. I mean, yeah, but there's always next year. It's the thing. Like they don't have to give it to her for this film.
right,
It's not like she's
exactly.
running out of
It
time.
isn't pressing at this. Yeah.
No.
Then there's Kate Winslet, Lee. Like it's a biopic type performance, maybe. Same thing with Annette Bening and Nyad, like maybe. Same thing with Ryan Destiny and Flintstrong, another biopic performance. We'll see, but I don't really love any of those. And just kind of same thing with the rest of them: Kaylee Spaney and Priscilla, Judy Greer and Eric LaRue, Marissa Abela, and like the Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic. Like all of these things, they just kind of go in the same boat for me. Like
Yeah, like they're probably going to be fairly baity performances in fairly baity biopics, it looks
right.
like. However, I mean, Priscilla is A24, so we'll see how baity that one is. I don't know.
Right.
But like, yeah, I don't know if the films will get enough exposure. So I don't see them necessarily.
Exactly. And I think that that's the biggest problem. We just need to see if any sort of hype forms around this film as a
Yeah.
whole, I guess. Okay, supporting actor, we have John Magaro winning, and like I could just see it, especially if this is a winning picture. Like he'll make you laugh. He like has a lot of the comedic beats of the film. He also has a fantastic monologue that made my theater cry. I mean, if the film is winning Best Picture, it could make sense that this is the acting thing that comes along with it. It could also just be Spotlight and just do Screenplay Picture very easily.
Yeah, it could.
But
But I don't know. Like, I guess the category is fairly open, so
yeah,
why not?
it does feel open. Like really, who are you going to say is the winner here? Like
Yeah, like
people are
this is
saying Ryan
not a
Gosling.
strong category at this stage. I'd say one through three, I feel confident in. Other than that, who knows?
Yeah, because like Gosling's getting like performance of his career review. So like,
Yeah,
I mean I could see that. Like maybe I could see him winning, but like you can't say that like Ryan Gosling and Barbie's any more likely of a win than John Magaro in Past Lives. Like you just can't convince me of
no.
that. Same thing with like De Niro and Killers of the Flower Moon. Like I mean apparently he's really good. Does he need is like are enough people going to get behind him getting like let's give De Niro an Oscar? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Killers of the Flower Moon is in a very interesting situation where all of the things you've got it nominated for essentially are like it could win if the film's big. Like Lily Gladstone we'll get to, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, the film itself. Like all of these things are like just off winning, which I feel is what will make it the potentially best picture frontrunner early on in the year.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it will
Like it's
necessarily amount.
giving
It just doesn't
Fablemans, it's
feel
giving
like it to.
Irishman. Like
Yeah. Like we've got it very close to winning all of these things, but not quite getting any of them.
exactly. So we have Jeremy Allen White in The Iron Claw. This is where I do think that the film could show up. Like it is like a very physical kind of transformative biopic performance. And Jeremy Allen White has a lot of career hype right now, so I could see him happening.
Yeah.
And then we have Ruffalo in Poor Things because again, we'll see with Poor Things. Like I.
Yeah. I mean, this is just. I mean, you can also take this as anything from Poor Things, I guess. Oh, we do
Right.
have Willem Dafoe and Rami Youssef later on. I feel like this is the most likely thing to happen from Poor Things, but who knows? From the trailer, it looked like Willem Dafoe was having a lot to do. However,
Yeah.
we don't want to be burned with putting Willem Dafoe in a weird supporting performance in supporting actor once again.
Again.
Like that's happened way too many times. Let's not make that mistake. Let's do something like Mark Ruffalo.
For sure. And again, this is solely dependent on if Poor Things is actually going to be a thing, which we don't feel that confident about. But if we have it in picture and director, like I feel like we kind of have to. Coleman Domingo, Color Purple, we'll see, but I don't know if he can pull off that double nomination with Scarlett Johansson in 2019. Like that was kind of an anomaly. I don't know how big his performance in this film is going to be, so we'll see.
I don't know how big him as an actor in general is. Like Scarlett Johansson, obviously,
Yeah,
very like she can do a double nom. I don't know if Coleman Domingo is a type of caliber of actor.
exactly. Then there's Ben Affleck in Air, and we have him kind of high up, and that's purely just because of how kind of open this category is
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
unique. Yeah.
but this is a weak number 7.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a pretty silly performance. It's a sort of thing, like, it's one of the more memorable performances in the film. I'd argue it's just like you've got Viola Davis is the most memorable, then probably him. But yeah, I don't think this is very likely to be nominated. I just think that we're really searching for stuff here in supporting actor and not coming up with very much.
For sure. Brian Tyree Henry, Flint Strong. We'll see if he can pick up a coattail nomination. I don't know if he can, like, it's a biopic type thing. He's playing like the sports trainer for like the boxing or whatever it is. And like it just can he do it 2 years in a row? Like, can he for like films that probably won't be picture contenders and like potentially more understated role? Like, I don't know.
Like, I don't know,
But
you can use, like, he did it last year, but then he
he
sort of
also did it
did it
last year.
last year. Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's, it's a complicated one with him, like,
for
potentially,
sure.
but
But again, just a very open category, so anything can really happen at this point. Then we have somebody else from Poor Things, whether that be Willem Dafoe or Rami Youssef, potentially could sneak in. We got Jeremy Pope in the collaboration. Again, it's McCartan, so like there's always potential, but we'll see.
yeah,
Charles Melton, May December. This would probably only happen if May December was like a massive picture player. He got good reviews, but I don't know.
not sure.
Clemens in Killers of the Flower Moon dropped a lot, honestly, because like apparently he isn't in it that much.
We didn't hear anything really about him. Like, it was De Niro, DiCaprio, and Glad, so they were the ones getting the hype.
Yeah.
We just didn't hear much about Clemens, and yes, he was
And
the sort of least memorable sporting performance in a film like The Power of a Dog and still got in, but I don't know, like 3 hours potentially he's on the screen longer than you would expect for a sporting performance,
yeah.
but I don't
And
know. It's
similar to
kind
Brian
of
Tyree
small.
or anything, can you do it again? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so I don't know. Paul Mescal and Strangers. Would love to see this happen. Acting talent of our generation. But like, this is really dependent on if Strangers is actually a thing. I feel like this will just kind of be a weird. Like the concept is really, really weird, and it's
Yeah.
Andrew Haig, who isn't traditionally an Academy friendly filmmaker. Like, I don't know. Jonathan Pryce, One Life. It's like a thing about Schindler, I guess. Like, I just don't really see this happening. And then Austin Butler and something, whether it be Bike Riders or Doom Part 2. Maybe, but it
Yeah,
would
I
be an
mean, this is
afterglow.
just really off the strength of him being on 2 films this year. Like, I don't like June is not getting acting nominations
No.
realistically. Like, he could happen with the Bike Riders. I don't know. Again, weak category. We're
Yep.
scraped.
All right. Supporting actress. We have Danielle Brooks #1, Lily Gladstone is #2. Everybody's saying Lily Gladstone. Listen, we don't really know if Killers of the Flower Moon is actually going to win an Oscar. And like, we'll get to the one where we do have, but like, I don't know. I really don't know. And also the Danielle Brooks argument, and this actually comes from sometime collaborator on this channel, Sam, brought up the point. When was the last time an actress lost in supporting actress for a musical? Like, just think about it. Go back. Just go back and have a think. I mean, you had, in Both West Side Story, you had in the Limits, you had, I mean, even back to like Chicago. Like, this happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
like, it feels like The Color Purple as well. Like, it's a type of thing that would get an acting win. Like, it's a very
yeah,
performing heavy movie. So yeah, and Lily Gladstone as well. There are a couple things against her. Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio is giving a lot more of an expressive performance. Hers is a bit more
she's quieter.
restrained. So like, yeah, that is a big thing against her. She's a less known name than someone like Lena, so she could get a little overshadowed. I'm sure her performance is amazing in the film. I'm sure she will still get nominated, but the
Right.
win could be a stretch. Could be a stretch.
Yeah. I feel like she's an early narrative that will fall, if I'm being completely honest. Even though I'd love to see her win. Tries to be Hanson, Color Purple. It makes sense for this to potentially be the double nom. It seemed like she had a bit to do in the trailer, so it can make sense. Rosamund Pike, Saltburn. We're honestly just filling spaces because if we thought supporting actors weak, supporting actress looks really good.
Yeah, supporting actress is probably even weaker than supporting
Yeah,
actor. So yeah, I mean, this is again sort of like just Barry Keoghan, I guess. Why not if the film's big?
right, exactly. Julianne Moore, May December. Apparently, her performance was good, not as good as Portman, but supporting actress, as we said, just a more wide open category. I mean, I could see Julianne Moore almost being a bit of a name check and just kind of throwing her in.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I think she's the most likely of the cast to be nominated.
Yep. And then there's Viola Davis there. Like, if it gets anything, I guess it could be Viola.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned earlier, it feels like the sort of thing that gets nominated here and there, but doesn't actually amount to anything at the Oscars.
Yeah. I mean, and just looking down the list, I don't know if there's really anything else needed. Like Jodie Comer, Divine Joy Randolph, Lashana Lynch. I mean, we'll see. Anjanou Ellis and Nickel Boys. She has a lot to do this year. Maybe she can pick up another nomination.
Yeah.
Zendaya challengers, Carey Mulligan,
In case
Saltburn.
she's not lead, yeah.
Yeah, America
Yeah.
Ferrera, Barbie. Like, I don't know if there's anything else on this list really.
No, I mean, this list is not filling me with any passion. I'm not going, oh, it could happen. I feel
Yeah,
a lot of these are just like, probably not, but
I really only
there's
feel good
nothing
about our
else.
top three, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, essentially.
All right, original screenplay. We got Past Lives number one. I mean, again, it makes sense as a screenplay winner. I mean, even if it doesn't end up winning picture, I could still see it winning screenplay. Like, it's just
Oh,
that type of
agreed,
film.
agreed. Yeah, it just feels like the sort of thing that people rave about the screenplay for, and if you're raving about that individual element,
Right.
you're in good shape in terms of
Yep.
the screenplay categories.
Then there's Saltburn. I mean, Emerald Fennell obviously won for her, most recent film in this category. So, like, no reason to say why she can't get nominated again, especially if we think the movie will be big. Barbie we have here. Okay, so Barbie could be adapted. And we'll just say, if it was adapted, we would have it at number one.
Yeah, but that is an asterisk because this is a really interesting case. We just completely don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we've chosen to go original just because we feel like, I mean, looking at the trailer, looking at everything like that, it just feels like a sort of original screenplay
Right.
in
And
every
it
sense of the
isn't
word.
adapted from a like thing of another medium. It's adapted from toy characters. And
Yes,
like
yeah. I think
the Lego movie
the only
counts as
reason is
original.
that
The Lego
Barbie
movie counts
animated
as
films
original.
exist. It's the only sort of thing that
Right.
like
But like it
could
isn't
potentially get
adapting
mentioned.
the narrative from those. Like
No, but it is taking characters from previous movies. So I don't know. It's a really
yeah.
tricky case.
It's weird. We have it in original, so if it's an original, it's here. If it was an adapted, we would have it winning.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. May December. I think if it gets anything, it gets screenplay. Like I could very easily see this being a lone screenplay thing.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
And then Anatomy of a Fall, like it's supposedly just like a very like snappy like courtroom drama. Like it really does feel like it could be a thing. And if there's passion behind it, and like we have a screenplay actress, like you could make a really strong case for this in Best Picture.
You could. I mean, but the things like The Lost Daughter, which got an
Yeah,
extra actor even on top of that, didn't happen. So
and it
like
does feel like it could get that kind
yeah,
of package.
it does feel like that sort of package. But I do think screenplay, as you say, is strong nonetheless. So yeah,
Yep,
not
for
too
sure.
worried about screenplay.
So then we have the holdovers. We'll see again how they respond to Alexander Payne. We'll see what happens with this film. Air as well. We'll see if it keeps the passion. I really don't think it will, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Challengers, I could see happening. So we've been hearing that it's the type of rom-com type thing, but like that could go in its favor for original screenplay.
it could. It could. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll
Especially if
see.
they want something. If they do want to give Guadagnino a shout, especially if the film was like rated well. And again, this is just like we need to know more about it
Yeah.
essentially
We don't
because
even
like
have
we
like a
looked at
still
May
image from it.
December
Like,
was nothing like we actually thought it would be. Like
yeah,
challenges could very easily not be what we think it is. So
for
I don't
sure.
know.
Maestro number 9, we do have it in picture, but it does not feel like a screenplay thing, especially with our concerns about the movie's quality to begin with. The big thing was that the screenplay was bad. So like we have it at number 9 really because we have it in picture. But I really don't think it's gonna get a screenplay nom. I really, really don't.
No.
So then we got Drive Away Dolls. This is a new Ethan Coen film. Apparently it's like a very like, fun type of like dramedy, feels very 90s in its like tone. And it could be fun. We'll see if there's any hype around it. It's just another case of like we really know absolutely nothing about this movie. So
No. Yeah, so I mean, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs also got in off a lone screenplay. I don't think this would
yeah,
be anything more than a lone screenplay, but potentially if
yeah.
it's that sort of fun vibe, if it's sort of original in terms of what it's doing, then potentially.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see the argument. Then Book of Clarence, a similar type of thing. It's James Samuel's follow up after The Harder They Fall. It was well received. Maybe got his sophomore film, and it's it's equally well received. People are loving the fun energy behind it. And I could see a push for this potentially being a lone screenplay thing. Speaking of lone screenplay things, Bottoms. I mean, the trailer looks really, really fun. It's Emma Saltman, again, a really well-received first film that got like a, DJ first time feature nom and stuff. Didn't amount to much in the award season, but it was very well loved. And, potentially you see with the second film we're getting in, apparently it's like a brilliantly written comedy screenplay, like one of the best comedy screenplays of like some people said the century so far. Like people are absolutely loving this. Like the critical
Yeah.
reception was really high. It feels like it could be Booksmart-esque, which I mean was probably 6 or 7 for original screenplay. So
Yeah, I mean the only thing is, Booksmart was a slightly bigger film than this seems like it will be. I mean, it depends on the exposure and can it
Yeah.
maintain that exposure for such a long amount of time. Like it could. I don't think there is any reason why it wouldn't necessarily, but yeah, like we'll have to
Okay.
see with this one.
Asteroid City.
I don't really think
Like,
this is happening.
yeah, whatever.
Like,
And then Rust
yeah,
and Bob Marley One Love, two biopic things that like probably not
filling
gonna
out spots. It's fair to
filling
say,
out.
filling out spots.
Okay, adapted screenplay. So this is where we do have killers at number one, but really just for a lack of competition. Like just looking at this list, like what do we really have here? And again, if Barbie does go adapted, we would have it winning.
Yeah, because I do genuinely think it is stronger than anything we've got here. Like Killers, it's a 3 hour film. It
Does that
doesn't
feel
feel
like
like the sort of thing
screenplay?
that
Is
would
the,
win
like does that
screenplay.
really feel like a screenplay winner? Like we have for
No,
now, but this is placeholder.
especially a lone screenplay winner. I just don't see it. But
Yeah,
equally, as you say, there is nothing else. Like what June, the first one barely got in.
is
I feel
Dune
like this.
Dune important? Like Dune barely. Yeah, Dune's not gonna win
Yeah,
screenplay. Poor things we don't even feel confident about. The Color Purple is a musical. They
cool.
hate musicals in
Yeah,
screenplay.
and Spider-Verse is already like I think it will happen, but it's a stretch. I
It's a
think it's fair to
stretch to
say.
say, yeah, animated
Yeah,
film in it. Like, genuinely, what else here? So, like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. Like, again, poor things don't love it, but like,
But it is Yorgos,
again,
and he did get in for the lobster when the lobster was just not a thing at all.
yeah,
So
exactly. Like Dune as well. It feels wild having that at number two, but like,
I just feel fairly confident it will at least get a nom.
yeah,
Like
it,
it
it
could
should
be
at
the
least get
fifth thing
nominated.
towards the end of the year and just slide in. Like it
And
makes
once
sense.
again, just looking at this list, like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I kind of want to put Barbie in here just because like it would be a winner that I'd actually feel good about, but
yeah. I feel like it's more likely to be original though. So
yeah, I agree. I agree. And then yeah, like Spider-Verse, we kind of made the argument for it before. Like, it just I could see the past, especially looking at this category, because like, look, we have Next Goal Ones at number 6. Again, maybe like sure, Tycho is the previous winner here, but
yeah. I mean, Rustin had a previous winner. Like it doesn't just because it
right,
has a previous winner doesn't necessarily mean it will actually get in. And just I don't think this film will be massive. Like it could be this sort of light-hearted thing that people really like. It's a crowd pleasing thing if it goes to TIFF and does well there. I can see a path for it. I think we
I
do have
can
to
too,
recognize
but
that.
it doesn't
But
feel likely to me at least.
no, the path doesn't feel that likely. So yeah, I think 6 is a good place for it. I could see it, but also I don't really have that much passion to put it in.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, there's like the zone of interest, which doesn't really feel like a screenplay thing, but once again, just kind of filling spots. Like,
Yeah,
because what else? I mean, if we have the high-end picture, sure, but I don't think it will be a screenplay. Oppenheimer, again, even if
that's
we
true.
do put it in a picture, it does not feel like a screenplay thing.
No, no.
Bike Riders, Nickel Boys, Flint Strong, all things that I just need more information on. The collaboration, yes, it's McCartan, but he doesn't always get in for screenplays. He's more known for just writing really good acting parts. So,
Yeah.
not entirely convinced there. Same thing, Strangers, Freud's Last Session.
I mean,
Like,
Freud's last session could do a two popes and just somehow manage to break in, but I
break
don't
in
know. It
alongside
feels like
Hopkins,
it's
maybe.
talky, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and then How Do You Live? Like, if we
I
already think
mean,
Spider-Verse getting animated, like,
like
it's,
that's not happening. Yeah,
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 yeah.
no, yeah,
Weak category here. Weak category.
yeah,
But we'll see if things break out. Cinematography. So we have Dune winning. I mean, why not? Like, honestly, I thought that the cinematography in the trailer of this looked even stronger and more striking than the cinematography of the first film, even. So
yeah. And some of the wins from June will just
carry
continue
over.
carry over. Like we'll get to it later on, but things like the sound of VFX.
Right.
And this is definitely one where I just think, yeah, it was one of the strongest wins of the first one. Why would it?
Yep. I mean, Killers is right there. I mean, it's Rodrigo Prieto, like all these types of things. But like, I mean, I don't really see how anything competes with Dune here. I
No,
mean, we got Color Purple as well. Like it looks bold and striking. If it's we think it's winning director, it makes sense for it to get a screenplay or get a cinematography nom. Oppenheimer. I mean, you got Hoyt van Hoytema.
yeah,
Really, I think would be very deserving of a nomination. Just considering all the. I mean, he's fantastic work on Nope. Like, I mean, he's doing Black and White as well.
yeah.
And then there's Poor Things, which like I mean, the cinematography does look fantastic. Like even if like potentially this isn't like picture thing, like I could see it like getting a push in cinematography still.
Yeah, because I mean, cinematography, they are a category that go for, a lot of the time, at least, as they should, the best cinematography things of the
Right.
year. So, like, if this is just sort of overwhelming and it's like sort of undeniable, then yeah, I can still see the cinematography branch nominating it, even if it isn't beloved. So,
Absolutely. I 1000% agree. And then I mean Saltburn just kind of here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see it, but equally, it's a big picture contender. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And then like like Barbie, we'll
Barbie
see. I
feels
mean, Rodrigo
too.
Prieto, we already have getting a nom. I mean, we also forgot to mention Color Purple Stan Lauston. I know people talk about John Wick. I feel like if he gets in anywhere, it would be for Color Purple. Like, I don't see Rodrigo Prieto getting double nom. And like Barbie, like sure, the stuff in Barbie Land looks stunning, but like if a lot of it is happening in the real world, I don't know how much people
Yeah.
will really be inclined to vote for the cinematography.
I mean, also, it looks good, but it doesn't look weirdly for a Barbie film. It doesn't look that like flashy. It feels kind of a bit
Again,
like
outside of the Barbie Land stuff.
outside of the Barbie Land stuff. Exactly. It just feels like, okay, you're just putting the camera there. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a heavy thing on the cinematography. It feels like, especially since I imagine other technical elements at least will significantly overshadow it, which we'll get
Absolutely.
to.
I agree. I agree. So then, I mean, we're looking at Zone of Interest, which it's
Yeah.
Lucas Zoll, it's the same cinematographer as things like Edie on Cold War, fantastic work. But apparently, this is like intentionally like very like dirty, muddy. Like, I mean, I haven't heard anybody make the comp, but like kind of women talking where it's like the cinematography looks ugly because the thing is ugly. Like,
Yeah.
kind of feels like that. And then Past Lives, I mean, we have a winning picture. The cinematography is fantastic, but it doesn't really feel like a traditional nominee.
No.
On to editing, we have Color Purple. I mean, they like musicals a lot in this category. I think the editing was one of Dune's weaker wins in the text. So it could
Definitely.
make sense for something to surpass it. And especially like we do think that Color Purple is going to be really strong. Like I think that Color Purple might be like one of the most awarded films, and then Past Lives will just sneak up with the most.
Yeah, that definitely feels like it could happen. And like a musical, as you say, they are quite heavily edited. I'm sure
Yeah.
this will be one of the heaviest films in this year in terms of editing. So why not? I guess why not?
Yep, for sure. I mean, and then like you're looking at Dune, just still
Yes,
right
I mean
there.
June is still being nommed. Like it won the first time, so it's not going to be not nominated.
Right, exactly. I mean, and then there's Killers.
Yeah,
Just feels obvious. Like, I mean, Thomas and Marco, like, come on. I mean,
yeah.
Past Lives as well. I think it can happen if it gets in the picture. Like, I do
If
genuinely
it's
think.
winning picture, I feel like it's always just easy. If it's something is winning picture, just put it in editing.
I
Most
mean,
of the time,
Coda, but
you'll be
like,
right. Yeah, I know obviously Coda was a slightly different one, but most of the time you'll be in safe hands.
right. In the editing in this, like, there's moments. Like,
Yeah.
there's a particular cut in the third act that just like soul crushing. Like it's great. It's great. And then Barbie we have here because like. I mean, there's going to be like musical sequences. Like, I also think like they do like comedic editing as well. I mean, look at Adam McKay stuff
Yeah.
and like very like jumpy comedic. Like it feels like it could fit into that type of thing.
Yes, agreed, agreed.
So then we got Oppenheimer. I think if this ends up being a big, like if this ends up being a
Picture thing.
significant Best Picture contender, then
Or
yes,
even just if it's in picture, I think it would come along with it
right. But we
potentially.
don't have it in
Really.
picture.
No, yeah.
So then it's Saltburn,
Yeah. Which just could, because sometimes things in Best Picture can just pick up editing noms.
just because.
And this could be one of them.
Absolutely. And then Air. I mean, it's flashy, it's showy, but like it feels like something that would have been nominated 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I just don't think the passion will be there for the film by the end of the year.
Right.
So
Exactly. Exactly. Maestro, like there could be really big moments, but I also just like that was one of the things that we heard was like the editing was a little bit sloppy. And
yeah, like we could get moments of like the big musical scenes where I don't know,
right.
it's doing like sort of potentially Damien Chazelle type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but
But
the pace,
equally, if it's messy, that is a big hazard to both if you're looking at screenplay and editing categories. Messy is a terrible word.
yup. I mean, Damien still Babylon, right? I mean, that got
Well,
the
yeah,
tag of messy as soon as that happened. Like, even though I think it would have been deserving of an editing nom, I think it's like the
yeah,
editing and that's pretty fantastic. Like, as soon as you get the tag messy, you're done. And then zone of interest, kind of a last thing here would be a very artsy pick. It would be kind of like Tar getting into editing last year. But we'll see. We'll see how big it ends up being. Costume
yeah.
design, Bobby. I mean,
I
like,
mean,
look
have
at
you
that.
seen the trailer? Yeah,
Look at that
like
trailer. Like, come
yeah, and
on. The sheer
even I
amount
mean,
of
we'll
stuff.
get to production design. I think this is Barbie's easily its strongest window because even in the real world stuff, you've still got the costumes there, so they'll
Right.
be on screen half the time.
Exactly. Like you still have the costumes all throughout. I mean, and also like people just are already obsessed with the costumes, myself included. And like, I mean, it's previous like multi-time previous winner coming along with this with Jack Durant, like all these types of things. It just really, really makes a lot of sense, even if like the movie doesn't end up getting any above the line support, I think it at least gets the nom here and is strong.
Agreed.
I mean, as far as other thing here, like, you have Color Purple, you have Dune
I
Part
mean, period
2,
musical, sure. June, Previous One, sure.
right?
Killers,
Killers,
period, sure. Like they
historical,
just,
like
yeah,
they
they
just kind
get
of
ticked
tick the
off.
boxes.
Yeah, I mean, costume, I'd say the top four are fairly strong. Saltburn is maybe a bit of a rogue shout. Like, I could see that falling even if it is a
Yeah,
picture contender, but why not? Like, it is a period sort of thing. It will have sort of flashy costumes, so I think it is a
yeah.
fairly good shout at this stage.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, and then like we do have Little Mermaid at number 6, which like I could maybe make an argument for being in. I mean, it's Colleen Atwood, who just similar to like somebody like Jack London, like all these types of people like last year, like just gets in, like she just
Yeah.
gets in, and like if Little Mermaid can maybe sustain some hype, if Halle Bailey can maybe pick up like a Globe nomination or something like that, I could see it being in the conversation enough to get the nom.
Potentially, I just don't know. The film was fairly negatively received. It's quite early on in the year. I just don't know if it necessarily feels like that kind of thing. But as you say, it's got a big name behind it, so it could just end
Yeah,
up.
the costume does like it's kind of clicky. It's kind of
Yeah.
clicky, so I can see it. Poor Things, very flashy costumes. I don't know if they're going to translate to a nom. Like,
No. I mean, they could. I mean, this could be subbed in favor of Saltburn. To be fair, but like they're
yeah,
both sort of period sorts of things. But I think Saltburn will be a bigger film than Poor Things. We're more confident in Saltburn being a big thing than Poor Things. So I feel like it's fair to keep it off.
absolutely, absolutely. And then Wonka gonna have big costumes, right? It's
Yeah.
gonna have massive, like just like flashy, bang, bang, bang. But like, we'll see about the support for the film.
But it
We'll
is
just have to
also
wait.
Wonka, so
It
yeah,
is
like it
like
could
yeah,
just not be an Oscars thing at all. Which goes for the Hunger Games as well. Like I'm sure
yep.
it will have flashy costumes. It could, but also the Oscars could just turn a blind side and just completely ignore them.
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, Napoleon as well. It's a historical drama, but it feels kind of low on the tier of historical dramas this
Yes, yeah, and like Apple's got other stuff to be campaigning. Like they're gonna
year. Yeah.
completely ignore Napoleon. I don't think it will be received well. I think it'll be an absolute bomb. And it's just a problem. It's a problematic film. It looks like.
Yep. Yep. Production design. I mean, we're going to be looking at similar things here. Like Barbie again. I just say we could potentially see this going down, but like just the images alone.
I think it really does depend on how long we spend in this sort of Barbie land. I think they call
Yeah.
it Barbie land. So like it does depend on how long we spend there. Because I think if we don't spend too long there, like I think June is a surefire bet. Because June is a very very strong number two here. June could
Yeah.
just take this. Like this is a tier below, I'd say, cinematography, sound, VFX, and then you get sort of things like production design, which
Right.
I think would be
But
a
once again, this
deserving
is
win.
Sarah Greenwood as well for
Yeah.
like Barbie. Like,
Yeah, but equally as well with June, they did do the first one already, so then and it doesn't look like they're doing that much new stuff.
yeah. So we'll see, But like, I know I can see Barbie happening. Dune's obviously right there. Same thing with Color Purple, also right there. I mean, Poor Things. Once again, have you seen the trailer? Like,
Yeah,
especially if we already have this in picture. But like, even if this doesn't get picture, I could still see them at least going for the production design because, like, damn, like,
yeah. I mean, there's a
just look
lot
at it.
going on. There's a lot going on.
And then yeah, Killers as well, just right there. Oppenheimer, we'll see. I mean, again, it's a historical drama, but I don't know
Yeah,
how much push it's actually going to get in the
I
category.
mean, yeah, I don't even know, even if it is in picture, I don't even know if this would actually come along with it. So,
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I mean, Asteroid City is here. I mean, it's Wes
with
Anderson. You
us.
always have to consider it. I mean, again, look at the trailer. You always have to consider Wes when it comes to production design.
Yeah, and then the last three are the exact same as we said last time. Wonka, Hunger Games, about in. They
Yep.
could happen.
Yeah,
They're probably quite flashy, but the Oscars could ignore them.
absolutely. Makeup and hair. So here we do have Maestro winning. I mean, again, I think that even if this film kind of flops, I could still see it being an Issa Tammy Faye, a whale, right? Where it is this, I know the whale wasn't a biopic, but like it's that big transformative type of performance, and I could just see that happening for Bradley Cooper. And I think if the narrative forms around him, it's here. And like, really, what other big transformative biopic performances are there? Those are typically your biggest bets. And Maestro just makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I mean, so does June. I guess you could make the argument. I mean, have you seen Austin Butler in
Yeah,
the
but like it
trailers?
didn't win the first time. Like,
It didn't win the first time. Exactly. That's what I was just going to bring up. Like, it didn't win the first time. They're probably not doing that much new stuff. I mean, you've got the new Austin Butler character, or whatever. There is other people who added to the cast. You might have some crazy makeup. I don't know. But it didn't win the first time. So why would it necessarily win the second time? Especially if you think it's going to be slightly weaker in sort of every category.
Exactly. And like we have a different man here. Once again, it's going to be transformative for Sebastian Stan, but we'll see. I mean, I do think this makes a lot of sense for the nomination. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the win, but I mean, as long as A24 actually does do their campaigning here, I mean, it would be kind of hard to ignore. Like, as long as this makes the shortlist will be the hurdle for this. If it can hit the shortlist and make it to the Bake Off, then I think it's fine. Poor Things as well. There's going to be, again, just some flashy, crazy stuff. And
I mean, Willem Dafoe in that trailer is caked in makeup.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, Willem Dafoe, like, oh, like, God.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we actually have in. So the first film did get a nomination in a year of 3. And this actually broke the record. It officially has the record for the most prosthetics used in a feature-length film.
Yeah, and that was really because I was a bit skeptical at first, just because I felt like the reason the first one got in is because they were doing a lot of new stuff, like you're designing Jax, you're designing Gomorrah, you're designing Rory, whatever. The second one I think didn't get in because they probably felt we've done it before, like we're not doing anything new here. I thought that could be the case in here, but just the amount of prosthetics, everything that's going on. If you think about it, there is enough new stuff, I think, within this one, especially when you've got now year 5.
Right.
To get
I mean, with the villain, high evolutionary thing, was like all the stuff in the face and like
there's enough new stuff.
Absolutely. We have Barbie here. I don't. Again, outside the top 5, I don't really love anything for makeup, if I'm being honest.
No, that's the thing. Like Barbie could get in off the hairstyles, I guess. Like it looks like they're doing quite a lot with hair and makeup, but yeah, a lot of it. Again, it depends how much is in the real world. So
right, and like Bob Marley. I mean, I don't know how much transformative it'll be. It might just be like kind of subtle work, and I don't.
I mean, if this is the transformative one, though, why not?
Yeah, for sure. Wonka, Oppenheimer, Hunger Games, all just possibilities. I mean, Hunger Games, I could see maybe making an argument for there could be prosthetics, but I just think that we need to know more about it and like the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We'll see. Sound, Dune. I mean,
Obvious.
Come on. Like it just like I could see Oppenheimer taking this. I'll be honest. I could see it.
I think this is out of all the ones where it's like Dune and Oppenheimer batting out. I think this is the one where Oppenheimer would like potentially beat Dune, but equally Dune is Dune. Like the sound, and that's
this will be a race. It'll be an actual race.
It will be a race, this category, but I still think Dune will come out prevailing. Just I think Dune will be a bigger thing in general.
Yeah, for sure. Color Purple, it's a musical. I mean, kind of the same argument goes for Maestro. Like, it's just a music thing. I mean, they like their music sounds, and it just feels like it checks out. And we have Spider-Man. So there has been like a bit of talk about the sound for Spider-Man. I mean, and we talked about like it should absolutely be in for sound editing. There are potentially sound mixing problems, but I mean, we'll see how it plays at home. But also, I mean, I could see people just going for it. Like, if there is this type of universal love, I could see it slotting in.
Yeah, like I think its strength in the sound editing and the sort of sound created is enough to counteract the problems with sound mixing. I think. And also, by this time next year, or not this time next year, by the time you're still around, are people really going to be remembering the problems with the sound mixing in
the one opening monologue? Like,
yeah, I just don't really see that being the case, to be honest.
Yeah. So again, I could see it really pushing into a lot of categories here, Spider-Man. So then there's Ferrari, Cars Go Vroom Vroom. The BAFTAs will probably nominate it. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Potentially guns,
guns, horses. I don't know. It would be a Power of the Dog type pick. The Bike Riders, motorcycles go vroom vroom.
Yeah.
Barbie, we'll see how much musical type sequences there are, but also a lot of that's going to be in Barbie Land. And this is contrary to like costumes or even production design. It isn't going to be like a showcase element. To where it could, depending on how much time we're spending in and out.
Yeah, like this would only happen if Barbie was like Best Picture winning contention, which I don't think it will be, whatever happens, to be honest. No. I just don't think that, like a film like that can't win Best Picture.
Right. And then Mission Impossible, I mean...
Guns, cars...
Bombs and guns go boom boom.
Yeah, like, this could potentially, but I don't know. Have any of the other ones got in? I don't believe so. So, like, this would be a pretty weird nom, but... It could. All right,
VFX, Dune, obvious. Like, come on, guys. Yeah. Really? No, you aren't going to make an argument.
This is like Avatar category.
Like, genuinely, like, in 2021, you could just predict, like, VFX winners for, like, the next 5 years. You can go Dune, then Avatar, then Dune, then Avatar, then Dune, then Avatar. Bang, done. Like, it's just obvious.
Pretty much.
So then, I think Oppenheimer will be there. I mean... There is this thing like, oh, well, we blew up the bomb practically, but like obviously there's going to be VFX added to it. And
Yeah, and like Top Gun even working on that narrative, and it really went hard with that narrative, but we're not
even though
using
there
visual
were still a
effects.
lot of VFX.
Yeah, still going for VFX.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Guardians 3, it makes sense to be like the MCU pick.
yeah, like they're still doing an MCU film, like, and this will probably be the highest rated. And if you
Yeah.
look at like the Marvels, which may
It's not
have
gonna be
more
Ant-Man.
CGI,
Like,
yeah, like
let's be
it
serious.
may have more CGI, but that is not always a good thing at the Oscars. Like
Yeah.
they could see it and go too much. We're just watching pixels like Mania,
Yep.
so could deny it.
Then we have the creator, the Gareth Edwards thing. It's so the cinematography here is being done by Craig Fraser, and the trailer looked really, really good. It's a fairly big budget sci-fi project. And I mean, yeah, the I don't know, the trailer seemed to have just like a lot of just like environment design type stuff that I think that the Academy will respond really positively to.
Yeah, agreed. It just like it looks like it's got a lot of VFX. It looks like those VFX are very good and well
Yes.
implemented into the film. So yeah,
Absolutely. And then we have Spider-Man. Again, you could say, well, was an animated film really going to get in here? That's valid. It very well could just not. But I don't know. I
yeah.
really
I'm
just
not overly infused with the other stuff that we've got on the bubble. So
right. Like Indiana Jones, I mean, those
yeah,
responses weren't great. Little
no,
Mermaid, I mean, there's
same for
already
me.
controversy around like the character designs and like I think the like the again the environment design and stuff is good, but like I don't know. I
Yeah,
like Dungeons and Dragons, is that going to be an Oscar
that
nominee?
actually had fairly ropey VFX as
Yeah,
well. I would say.
and then there's Rebel Moon, there's the Zack Snyder project. I just need to hear more about it. And then
And
John
then
Wick Chapter 4. Like, are people
that's
gonna
again,
remember it? Is it gonna be
yeah,
VFX? Like, no,
and that's
no.
also again following the sort of we're doing this practically, not using
Right.
VFX argument. So.
So if it's like Spider-Man, like again, if the narrative is the animation is revolutionary, that could make sense for VFX.
Yeah, I don't see why it would necessarily drop off just because it's an animated film. Like we've seen animated films get in here before,
Yeah,
and more recently than Best Picture. I feel like Best Picture and stuff that is more of a stretch. It's somehow than a nomination like this.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's talk about original score. I mean, it's just probably doing again with what Hans Zimmer's doing, as long as he's doing
Yeah,
enough new stuff. Like, yeah. Then you have Ludwig Göransson, Oppenheimer. Again, this could potentially be a race. This is another potential Dune Oppenheimer race. Um,
potentially.
but they definitely feel like the strongest two.
Agreed. And then you've got John Williams. This is just a name checking, really.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is just gonna be. I mean, it's supposedly John Williams' last project. It'll be just the biggest name check in the world.
yeah, 100%.
And then you're looking at Zone of Interest, Mika Levy. I mean, they did Jackie, which is very well received, and like apparently their score is just like like mind-bogglingly
Yeah,
good.
apparently it's a real standout element, which is
Right.
always good and will just complement a Best Picture nom nicely. Like
Right. And
Banshee's
again, you
going
have it
so
in picture,
yeah,
so it would just make sense. And then here it is again, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Daniel Pemberton. I mean, the work is incredible here. I don't know. I can just see it. I can just see it. Considering everything else that like we have it picking up, well, why not tack on score?
yeah. I mean, it's quite an experimental score, a lot of different styles, but I think that's stopping it getting like any sort of win conversation. That I
Right.
don't think that stops it getting a nom though.
For sure, for sure. So we have Killers of the Flower Moon. I didn't really hear the score being highlighted that much, and it's not by a particularly big name.
No,
So I don't really see any reason to necessarily put it in. The May December score was highlighted quite a bit, but once again, not necessarily a huge name, and we don't know how big the movie's going to be.
yeah,
And apparently the score played really highly into those camp elements, which could be the divisive element of the film. Past Lives, beautiful score, but it's from somebody who people aren't necessarily going to
don't
know
know.
the name of, and it isn't again the standout element. The Killer, it's Reznor and Ross, so like maybe, and then Barbie, it was supposed to be the spot. Now it seems like it's mostly just going to be a soundtrack, but like
Yeah, I think the
it's the
spot
placeholder.
leaving definitely hurted. It hurted John's like this is a very cliquey category. So
Yeah,
yeah, but again, like musicals, they're not always big on score. So yeah.
for sure. All right, let's talk about song. Let's talk about song. Now this category, it's wild. We really don't know what we're doing here.
These are
So
all just guesses, essentially. Every
yeah,
single one of these places, essentially.
so we have Dance the Night winning for Barbie.
Who's
I
why not?
mean, I thought it was a really fun song. Dua Lipa. I mean, we'll see.
Big win.
It also looks like it will be like part of the film, which those always seem to do a bit better. And it's gonna be a full dance sequence, so it'll be memorable and it will play well when they're like looking through the clips rather than just like a credit sequence. Like it's gonna stick in people's.
Yeah.
Then we have something from The Little Mermaid. And like honestly, it probably could get two even. Like there's
It
Scuttlebutt
could.
and like
Yeah.
there's the other Halle
I
Bailey
mean,
song. Like
Scuttlebutt is a very controversial. Like no one actually likes that song, so
There are some people who actually like it.
There's some defenders, some well, I'm sure there are, but they're not a vocal majority. So
The big thing
yeah,
is we'll see
I think
Lin-Manuel
something.
Miranda potentially getting him
Yeah,
in, but I mean, once
I don't
again,
know. Yeah, something will get it
really,
though, probably.
yeah. I mean, and then there's Diane Warren's thing from 80 for Brady. Like, she always gets in.
Yeah,
I
she always gets in. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of these guests, like you got Peaches from Super Mario Bros. Big song, people were listening to it when it came out. Comedy song, a comedy song. It is a comedy song, which is
I
never
really
good.
don't think that will get in. Like, I honestly think it's more likely that we get Two Little Mermaids, Diane Warren, and then the
Yeah,
Color Purple thing, in
but
Disney Barbie.
equally, it's one of the few named songs we have so far. So
That's true. That's true. Because potentially there's an original song in Color Purple that can happen. Potentially. Joan Still, great song from Theater Camp. It's very memorable. I just don't think that anybody's actually going to remember Theater Camp by the end of the year, but we can hope, because it's great. And then we just have just kind of a list of possible, like Rustin maybe has an original song called like Stand Up or Fight Strut,
probably,
one of those
probably.
things. And then Wish, Disney animated film, maybe there's a song. Same thing with bike riders. Thomas brought up like, what if they're cruising on their bikes through the sunset and there's an original song by like a band from the 80s or something, and like maybe that's a thing. And also Spider-Verse, maybe it has a song, maybe.
Yeah,
but who knows? Honestly, who knows?
yeah. I mean, this is the most like unknowable category at this stage. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not really much point in predicting it. I mean, we do pick it just for fun, but there is really nothing to go on at all,
no,
and there won't be for a long time.
genuinely. Okay, animated feature. We got Spider-Man obviously winning. Like we have it in picture. I really like. Sorry, How Do You Live? Sorry, Miyazaki. Like it's just
Yeah, I mean, it is just Spider-Verse now. As I said, I think the only way How Do You Live is if it gets like a 99 on Metacritic, which
even then I still think it would
even
be
then it's
Spider-Man.
hard. Even then it's a race, and I still think Spider-Man would come out with it. So I just think this is another just basically locked up category. Like nothing is
Yeah,
coming
I
out.
feel so like this in like Dune and
Yeah.
VFX.
Like especially if you've got like people saying this is potentially the best animated film of all time. The
Right.
first one won. Like there's just no reason not to.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. How Do You Live will still probably get nom though.
Yeah.
Elemental we still have on for the nom. We'll see how bad it gets.
I think Disney will
but
get something in though, and I would like to think this will be at least stronger than Wish. So
but we'll see.
we'll see.
Then there's Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. I mean, it's DreamWorks. DreamWorks will probably get a push, you'd
Yeah.
imagine. And it could be fun. It could be fun. Then there's Nimona. Once again, you just assume that Netflix would get a push, and this would be their option. So
Yes. Netflix usually get at least one in here.
yep, for sure. I mean, look at what was even the thing last year?
Beast. Sea
Sea
Beast.
Beast. That's the big. I've already forgotten it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it could. Like they always seem to get something. Super Mario Bros. Like it was massive at the box office. This will probably get like PGA. Animated features, not PJ best, like they're 10.
Yeah.
But no, PJ
Obviously.
animated it'll probably happen. I could even see like the Globes going for it. I don't know if this will actually end up happening. I mean, Illumination
No,
don't necessarily
especially
have the
since
best
critics don't
budget for
like
this.
it. Like general audiences seem to like it. General audiences are not voting on Oscars though. So
Yeah, and like I don't know how much passing there really is. Like it can
no,
definitely happen, but I don't feel that good about it.
no.
Um, and then yeah, Wish as mentioned, Disney, we'll see. Number 8, we have Wildwood. I mean, it's Leica, right? And Leica, they've gotten some stuff in before. I mean, look at Kubo, look at like something like Missing Link, but we just kind of have to wait and see the reviews because Leica is just as equally just not gotten stuff in before. So it's just
Yeah.
really dependent on how much passion actually gets behind it. We got the new Ninja Turtles film. I mean, the animation style actually seems kind of fun, like this like stop motion type blend thing. But this kind of feels like it could go along with Super Mario Bros, where like it would
Yeah.
really need to crush the box office and get a bunch of audience support because it's not
Yeah, I
big.
mean, it doesn't have a great release date, and it could also just end up seeming like a slightly worse version than Spider-Verse. So, like, it seems like it's
Right.
following a similar tone and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't know if we're gonna get
And
two
I should
super
also
releases.
say, not a big studio for animation. I mean,
No, no.
but we'll see. We'll see. All right, then rounding out our list, we have The Peasants. It's the follow-up to Loving Vincent, same filmmakers. I mean, just Google this. I mean, the animation seems pretty fascinating. The
Yeah,
concept trailer they dropped a bit ago, and they got the funding for it. supposed to come out in September, and just like the same type of Loving Vincent, like, like Renaissance age, like portrait type stuff.
Yeah, and I mean the problem is, like in animated feature, you would always be expecting. Previously, you'd always be expecting maybe one Disney thing, and then like one DreamWorks thing to get in. Now you've got like Netflix are guaranteeing a spot in every year, and you've also got things like Sony now are picking up their animation. So there is not quite as much space for these sorts of smaller animated films, which I think is a shame. Like they can still happen, things like Flea, obviously. But I feel like How Do You Live might just take that spot as well, and I just don't know if there'll be space for a film like this in line.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I'm hoping for the best because I like Loving Vincent quite a bit. Also, I have no clue if it's actually the Renaissance age, but just old painting stuff.
Yeah.
All right, best international feature. We got Zone of Interest at number one. I mean, it
Obviously.
definitely feels like that could be the choice, especially since we have it in picture. I could again equally see it being Anatomy of a Fall, but they're very clearly the top two.
Yeah. And Anatomy of a Fall also, is it international? It's an interesting question. Apparently,
Right,
Order of the
that
Flame
is the
isn't
other
international.
question.
So that is just something to note. Like, I think it will go international. It feels like the type of film that will go international. I
But
think the
potentially
constraint
there's a
will
language
be.
problem where it's too much of it in English.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, France as well, a bit temperamental in what they choose to submit. Who knows if they'll actually submit? Like, I feel like a Palme d'Or winner. They did it for Titan, so they should just
And
submit
Teton's
it. But
significantly weirder than this, so by
yeah,
all
exactly.
accounts.
Yeah,
But yeah, so then we have How Do You Live? Now Japan is in a really interesting spot, really fascinating. Because they have this, they have Perfect Days, the new Vendors, and they have Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda. So we think it's How Do You Live?
yeah. We've put all three on the list though, because all three are good contenders. So Japan will be in a very interesting position here. Like potentially, they just think, okay, How Do You Live is getting the animated nom. Maybe we'll go for something like Perfect Days
Right.
or Monster. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. But we have about digresses here. Nuri Bilseyland, I mean, Turkey.
If I
This
can.
very clearly seems like their choice. I've seen people bring up that this could potentially be like Drive My Car, like very wordy 3 hours long, not initially thought to be contender, but then turns into one. And I've seen that a couple places in like our comments. I've seen it a couple places on Twitter. I could see it, but I just think that
There's a
we
chance.
can't just assume that Drive My Car is going to happen again.
No, especially when there are things like Zone of Interest, which
And
are
Anatomy of a Fall right there.
yeah,
Yeah. Like that was the year that, like, Teton won the Palm, and everybody's like, well, that isn't going to be a Best Picture thing. Like,
yeah.
so yeah. And then Fallen Leaves, Zaki Kaurismäki, very well respected director, feels like it's obviously going to be Finland's selection. Seems like the type of thing that could just be like very fun to vote for.
Yeah, it seems kind of like light-hearted, and especially since you've got films like Zone of Interest and About Dry Grasses. They seem to be heavy films. They might just want to nominate something a bit more light.
For sure, for sure. So then we have La Chimera. It's the new Alice Rohrwacher. I believe this would be coming from Italy, but it's neon. Obviously, like neon, regardless of what they do in other categories, very good at international features.
Yeah,
So it can make a lot of
did what
sense.
it can. So potentially,
Yeah, yep. El Conde, this is new Pablo Larraín coming from Chile. Pablo Larraín, obviously, pretty well respected director by the Academy with things like Jackie and Spencer. Going back to Chile, making a international language film.
yeah.
I mean, again,
This is just we'll see. I mean, this didn't promote
yeah,
Can, but like the rest of this lineup, I guess except How Do You Live, did, and we sort of know the sort of quality of this. We just don't know this one, but it could big name behind it.
absolutely. And then yeah, as mentioned, Perfect Days of Monster, and then the Pot au Feu. It's another French selection. It won director at Cannes. It seemed pretty well received. And if Anatomy of a Fall isn't eligible, or France just decided to do something weird, it does feel like Pot au Feu is the pretty clear number two.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and then last one, best documentary feature. We got 20 Days in Mariupol. It feels like it's we said it early last year with Navalny, and then we backed on it, and then we eventually came back around. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the Russia-Ukraine documentary that people are going to want to vote for.
Pretty much.
And like I saw it, it's well done. It's way better than Navalny. I'll say that much. Didn't really love Navalny. This is actually like very, very good, very harrowing.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, there is potentially a chance where they go, okay, well, we did it last year. We don't need to do another
Right.
Russia-Ukraine documentary. Like, I know, let's not use Eurovision as a way to predict the Oscars, but like it won last year, and this year Ukraine they didn't do that well. Like people just seemed a bit. It sounds really bad to say. They just there's not that same passion there was for these sort of early days of war,
Yeah.
so potentially that could fall, but I still think it'll get nominated either way.
For sure, for sure. Beyond Utopia, I mean, it's another very political thing that came out at Sundance. Again, Sundance, the hotbed for stuff like this. I mean, I think all of our top 5 is Sundance. Like,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's just it would just make a lot of sense. Again, just apparently really, really great was the that and 20 Days of Miracle were the best reviewed things out of Sundance. No reason why they shouldn't get in. Then there's The Eternal Memory. One of my favorite films out of Sundance, my favorite doc that I've seen so far this year, aside from maybe Kokomo City. It's from the same director as The Mole Agent, which got nominated a couple of years ago. It's a film about like dementia and like like people losing their memory. It's very, very sad, very, very well done. It's going to be memorable. It's going to strike an emotional chord.
Yeah.
I could just see it, making sense. The Deepest Breath. It's kind of a sports doc about deep sea divers.
It's like, yeah, sounds like
Netflix
you're gonna be sort of
big thing,
so
and Netflix
yeah.
will probably get something.
Yeah, exactly. Not much to say on this one.
Then Disappearance of Sierra Height, another one that I saw. Very, very good. Just about like a feminist theorist and writer, and just kind of like how she got hidden from history. It's pretty standard, but with the options that we have laid out right now, it just
Yeah,
kind of
we've
makes
got limited options. I mean, documentary is always, again, like song to an extent, is always a category where it's just like, well, we'll see where the wind blows. Some
for
films
sure.
will manage to pick up, buzz, and that's not necessarily a testament to their quality, but they just will, and that's how this category goes. So it's very
Absolutely.
hard to say at this stage.
Yep, and there's always the big snub, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then there's Four Daughters. This premiered at Cannes, and it was well liked, I would say overall. Like it got very well received, but it is docufiction, which is potentially a flag. We don't know if this will count necessarily as a doc.
Yeah.
So we just kind of got to see with that. Then there's still the Michael J. Fox thing from Apple. You know what this is giving? It's giving Sydney.
Yeah, I mean it's released very early, so
Yep.
yeah.
To be fair,
And like a
Navalny
film
was
like
as well, but
Senior as well didn't get in. So that's another sort of comparison you could make, I
yeah.
guess. Like, yeah, I just don't know if this necessarily would actually amount to anything.
Yeah, and I don't see the same type of passion around it that I saw around the Navalny as far as an early
No.
release. Then there's Little Richard, I Am Everything. I saw this. It's pretty standard. It's already out. I don't really see this gathering that much passion, but like it'll probably make the short list. Like it's well liked. I thought it was pretty decent. So then the last two things is still Soul of Voice and King Cole. Just kind of placeholders, filling stuff out. Stuff that maybe have a bit of buzz, vaguely heard of them, could potentially be things down the road. But again,
Yeah.
this and song are just kind of crapshoot.
Yes. Yeah. But no, I think that is probably it. I think those are our Oscar
I think we did
predictions.
it. This is the first like long video. This is the first time that we've done categories outside of the big ones. And yeah, that's it. So thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for Emmys predictions and Emmys reactions, all those types of things, and updated Oscar predictions soon. In addition to trailer breakdowns and any type of awards season updates. You can check out our TikTok and our social medias, Twitter, Letterboxd, all those types of things in the description. But that is all. Thank you everybody so much for watching. And until next time, stay safe, everybody, and goodbye.